Today is day 106 of our 365-day Bible read. Today we're going to be reading from the Old Testament chapters, 1 Samuel chapters 19, 20, and 21. And then we'll do the Bible study for 1 Samuel chapters 19, 20, and 21. And then we're going to go on over to the New Testament and we will read, we're going to go on over to the New Testament and we will read Luke. We're going to finish Luke chapter 15. Yesterday we did Luke chapter 15 verse 1. We actually went to verse 25 yesterday, I believe. But we were supposed to stop at verse 17. But anyways, I'm gonna start today, Luke 15 verse 17 through 32, and that'll finish Luke chapter 15, and then we'll just do the Bible study for the entire Luke chapter 15. And that's going to be our day. I'm going to get started. All right, sorry. Sorry. All right, that was important. All right, so we're going to get started here now. Hello, everyone who has joined. Sorry, I normally have my my ringer off. The day was just so crammed. I did a whole lot of stuff today I had to do, but my son went to a birthday party, so we were just running around the birthday party. Then afterwards, I had to go. Our dishwasher went out, so we had to go to order a new dishwasher and set up the installation for it for next week, and go get my son some new shoes, new sandals, and yeah, then I had to come home and cook dinner. So, and it's past their bedtime, the baby's bedtime. They're still awake. They're eating their dinner now. So, yes, it's been a hectic day. So, sorry. But that was important. Normally, I have my ringer off always, so I don't even hear anything that's going on my phone ever, like no distractions. But I didn't have it on. So, okay, we're going to get started now. 1 Samuel chapter 19 is where we're starting, and then we'll do the Bible study for it. Well, instead of reading all three chapters straight through, I'm going to just do a chapter, then do the Bible study for it. Read a chapter, then do the Bible study for it. So I'll do that for all the chapters. All right. So, or I may just read them all straight through. It depends on how I'm feeling once I start reading. So, all right, let's get going. If it gets a little loud, I am in my basement. So my husband's upstairs with the babies. So, yeah, I'm in the basement. Okay, here we go. 1 Samuel chapter 19. Saul tries to kill David. And Saul spoke to Jonathan his son and to all his servants that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David. And Jonathan told David, Saul, my father seeks to kill you. Therefore be on your guard in the morning. Stay in a secret place and hide yourself. And I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak to my father about you. And if I learn anything, I will tell you. And Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father, and said to him, Let not the king sin against his servant David, because he has not sinned against you, and because his deeds have brought good to you. For he took his life in his hand, and he struck down the Philistine, and the Lord worked a great salvation for all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against innocent blood by killing David without cause? And Saul listened to the voice of Jonathan. Saul swore, as the Lord lives, he shall not be put to death. And Jonathan called David, and Jonathan reported to him all these things. And Jonathan brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as before. Let me make sure this volume is up, just in case. Okay. And there was war again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines and struck them with a great blow, so that they fled before him. Then a harmful spirit from the Lord came upon Saul as he sat in his house with his spear in his hand, and David was playing the lyre. And Saul sought to pin David to the wall with the spear, but he eluded Saul, so that he struck the spear into the wall, and David fled and escaped that night. Saul sent messengers to David's house to watch him, that he might kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, told him, if you do not escape with your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed. So Michal let David down through the window, and he fled away and escaped. Michal took an image and laid it on the bed and put a pillow of goat's hair at its head and covered it with the clothes. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, he is sick. Then Saul sent the messengers to see David, saying, bring him up to me in the bed, that I may kill him. And when the messengers came in, behold, the image was in the bed with a pillow of goat's hair at its head. Saul said to Michal, why have you deceived me thus and let my enemy go, so that he has escaped? And Michal answered Saul, he said to me, let me go. Why should I kill you? Now David fled and escaped, and he came to Samuel at Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and lived at Naioth. Yeah. And it was told Saul, behold, David is at Naioth in Ramah. Then Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as head over them, the Spirit of God came upon the messengers of Saul, and they all prophesied. When it was told Saul, he sent other messengers, and they also prophesied. And Saul sent messengers again the third time, and they also prophesied. Then he himself went to Ramah and came to the great well that is in Sikkel. And he asked, where are Samuel and David? And one said, behold, they are at Naioth in Ramah. And he went there to Naioth in Ramah. And the Spirit of God came upon him also. And as he went, he prophesied until he came to Naioth in Ramah. And he too stripped off his clothes, and he too prophesied before Samuel, and lay naked all that day and all that night. Thus it is said, is Saul also among the prophets? All right, so that was 1 Saul chapter 19. We're now going to do the Bible study for 1 Saul chapter 19. And then we'll go back and we'll read 1 Saul chapter 20 and chapter 21, and we'll do the Bible studies for those. All right. Let's do this. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 19 Bible study. Who became David's friend? Jonathan, Saul's son, became really close to David. Where did David flee after Saul's attempt to kill him? David fled to Samuel at Ramah. What happened to Saul's men who came to take David? Each group sent to take David at Ramah began to prophesy. What did Saul do when he himself went to get David? When Saul went to Ramah, he also began to prophesy. What was God trying to show Saul? God was showing Saul that he was in control. Saul would have to do what God wanted him to do. All right. So that was the Bible study for 1 Samuel chapter 19. We are now going back to the Old Testament and we're going to read 1 Samuel chapter 20. I think this chapter is a little long. Okay. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 20. Jonathan warns David. Then David fled from Naioth in Ramah and came and said before Jonathan, "What have I done? What is my guilt? And what is my sin before your father, that he seeks my life?" And he said to him, "Far from it, you shall not die. Behold, my father does nothing either great or small without disclosing it to me. And why should my father hide this from me? It is not so." But David vowed again, saying, "Your father knows well that I have found favor in your eyes." And he thinks, "Do not let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly, as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death." Then Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you say, I will do for you." David said to Jonathan, "Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit at table with the king. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field till the third day at evening. If your father misses me at all, then say, 'David earnestly asked leave of me to run to Bethlehem, his city, for there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the clan.' If he says, 'Good, it will be well with your servant.' But if he is angry, then know that harm is determined by him. Therefore, deal kindly with your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of the Lord with you. But if there is guilt in me, kill me yourself. For why should you bring me to your father?" And Jonathan said, "Far be it from you. If I knew that it was determined by my father that harm should come to you, would I not tell you?" Then David said to Jonathan, "Who will tell me if your father answers you roughly?" And Jonathan said to David, "Come, let us go out into the field." So they both went out into the field. And Jonathan said to David, "The Lord, the God of Israel, be witness. When I have sounded out my father about this time tomorrow or the third day, behold, if he is well disposed toward David, shall I not then send and disclose it to you? But should it please my father to do you harm, the Lord do so to Jonathan and more also, if I do not disclose it to you and send you away, that you may go in safety. May the Lord be with you, as he has been with my father. If I am still alive, show me the steadfast love of the Lord, that I may not die. And do not cut off your steadfast love from my house forever, when the Lord cuts off every one of the enemies of David from the face of the earth." And Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord take vengeance on David's enemies." And Jonathan made David swear again by his love for him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to him, "Tomorrow is the new moon, and you will be missed, because your seat will be empty. On the third day, go down quickly to the place where you hid yourself when the matter was in hand. and remain beside the stone heap. And I will shoot 3 arrows to the side of it, as though I shot at a mark. And behold, I will send the boy, saying, Go, find the arrows. If I say to the boy, Look, the arrows are on this side of you, take them. Then you are to come. For as the Lord lives, it is safe for you, and there is no danger. But if I say to the youth, Look, the arrows are beyond you, then go, for the Lord has sent you away. And as for the matter of which you and I have spoken, behold, the Lord is between you and me forever. So David hid himself in the field. And when the new moon came, the king sat down to eat food. The king sat on his seat, as at other times, on the seat by the wall. Jonathan sat opposite, and Abner sat by Saul's side. But David's place was empty. Yet Saul did not say anything that day, for he thought, Something has happened to him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. But on the second day, the day after the new moon, David's place was empty. And Saul said to Jonathan his son, Why has not the son of Jesse come to the meal, either yesterday or today? Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. He said, Let me go, for our clan holds a sacrifice in the city, and my brother has commanded me to be there. So now, if I have found favor in your eyes, let me get away and see my brothers. For this reason he has not come to the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said to him, You son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives on the earth, neither you nor your kingdom shall be established. Therefore send and bring him to me, for he shall surely die. Then Jonathan answered Saul his father, Why should he be put to death? What has he done? But Saul hurled his spear at him to strike him. So Jonathan knew that his father was determined to put David to death. And Jonathan rose from the table to fierce anger and ate no food the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had disgraced him. In the morning, Jonathan went out into the field to the appointment with David, and with him a little boy. And he said to this boy, Run and find the arrows that I shoot. As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. And when the boy came to the place of the arrow that Jonathan had shot, Jonathan called after the boy and said, Is not the arrow beyond you? And Jonathan called after the boy, Hurry, be quick, do not stay. So Jonathan's boy gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the boy knew nothing. Only Jonathan and David knew the matter. And Jonathan gave his weapons to his boy and said to him, Go and carry them to the city. And as soon as the boy had gone, David rose from beside the stone heap and fell on his face to the ground and bowed 3 times. And they kissed one another and wept with one another, David weeping the most. Then Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, because we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord shall be between me and you, and between my offspring and your offspring forever. And he rose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. All right, so that was 1 Samuel chapter 20. We're now going to do the Bible study for 1 Samuel chapter 20. Then we'll go back to the Old Testament and we'll read 1 Samuel chapter 21 and do the Bible study for that. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 20 Bible study. time, did Jonathan know for certain that Saul wanted to kill David? Jonathan believed his father would not do such a thing to David without telling Jonathan. Saul was likely hiding his plans from Jonathan because he knew his son's favor for David. How would Jonathan find out if his father was against David? During the feast of the new moon, when David would not be at Saul's table, Jonathan would test his father. If Saul did not get angry because David was not present, then David was safe. If Saul became angry, then David was not safe from his father. How would Jonathan let David know whether it was safe for him to return? Jonathan would shoot 3 arrows in a field and send a lad to retrieve them. David would be hiding and watching. If Jonathan called to the boy and said, "The arrows are on this side of you," it meant David was safe. If he said to the lad, "The arrows are beyond you," it meant David was not safe and needed to flee. What answer did David receive from Jonathan? It was not safe for David to return before the king. Was Jonathan sad to see David go? Jonathan was sad to see David have to go. Both of them wept together. What covenant did Jonathan and David make? David and Jonathan made a covenant of kindness between them and their descendants forever. All right, so that was 1 Samuel chapter 20 Bible study. And we are now going to go back to the Old Testament and read 1 Samuel chapter 21, and then we'll do the Bible study for that. And then we'll go on over to the New Testament. This chapter 21 is pretty short. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 21. David and the holy bread. Then David came to Nob, to Ahimelech, the priest. And Ahimelech came to meet David, trembling, and said to him, "Why are you alone, and no one with you?" And David said to Ahimelech, the priest, "The king has charged me with a matter and said to me, 'Let no one know anything of the matter about which I send you, and with which I have charged you. I have made an appointment with the young men for such and such a place. Now then, what do you have on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever is here." And the priest answered David, "I have no common bread on hand, but there is holy bread, if the young men have kept themselves from women." And David answered the priest, "Truly, women have been kept from us, as always, when I go on an expedition. The vessels of the young men are holy, even when it is an ordinary journey. How much more today will their vessels be holy?" So the priest gave him the holy bread, for there was no bread there but the bread of the presence, which is removed from before the Lord, to be replaced by hot bread on the day it is taken away. Now, a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord. His name was Doeg, the Edomite, the chief of Saul's herdsmen. Then David said to Ahimelech, "Then have you not here a spear or a sword at hand? For I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste." And the priest said, "The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you struck down in the valley of Elah, behold, it is here wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you will take that, Take it, for there is none but that here. And David said, There is none like that. Give it to me. David flees to Gath. And David rose and fled that day from Saul and went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said to him, Is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances? Saul has struck down his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And David took these words to heart, and was much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them and pretended to be insane in their hands, and made marks on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle run down his bread. Then Achish said to his servants, Behold, you see the man is mad. Why then have you brought him to me? Do I lack madmen, that you have brought this fellow to behave as a madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? All right, so that was 1 Samuel chapter 21. We're now going to do the Bible study for 1 Samuel chapter 21, and then we'll go on over to the New Testament, and we'll finish Luke chapter 15 by reading verse 17 through 34. I'm sorry, 17 through 32 it ends. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 21. It's only 2 questions long, so it's really short. Okay, 1 Samuel chapter 21. What did David seek from Ahimelech the priest? David sought food for he and his men with whom, and also a weapon. I'm sorry. David sought food for he and his men with him, and also a weapon. All right. What did David pretend in front of the people at Gath? David pretended to be insane so the king of Gath would not kill him. All right, so that was the Bible study for 1 Samuel chapter 21. We're now going on over to the New Testament, and we're going to finish Luke chapter 15 that we started yesterday by reading verse 17 through 32, and then we'll do the Bible study for the entire Luke chapter 15 after. Okay, so chapter 17. We were supposed to stop at chapter 16 yesterday, but we actually stopped at like chapter 20. We stopped at chapter 24 instead, but I'm not going to start at chapter 25. I'll just start at chapter 17 and then read to verse 32, so where it ends. Okay, so here we are. Luke chapter 15, starting at verse 17. But when he came to himself, he said, How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now, his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. And he said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. All right, so that was Luke chapter 15, verse 17 through verse 32. We're now going to do the Bible study for Luke chapter 15. Okay, Luke chapter 15 Bible study. It is 4 questions long. Okay. Why did Jesus eat with sinners? Jesus came to save the lost. The righteous needed no repentance. Who rejoices in heaven when a sinner repents? The angels before God rejoice when one repents. In the parable of the lost son, who is it that we sin against first? We must realize we sin against God first. Then we can repent and come back into the will of God. In the parable of the lost son, how did the son go from dead and lost to alive and found? The son was lost and dead in his sin, but after confessing his sin and humbling himself before God, he is cleansed from his sin and rejoined to the family of God who have eternal life. All right, so that was Luke chapter 15 Bible study. So we are now done for today. A quick recap of what we did today. From the Old Testament, we read 1 Samuel chapters 19, 20, and 21. And then we did the Bible study for 1 Samuel chapter 19, 20, and 21. Then we went on over to the New Testament and we finished Luke chapter 15 by reading verse 17 through 32, and then we just did the Bible study for the entire Luke chapter 15. So our day 106 is complete. I love you guys. God loves you. You matter. You are worthy. You are valuable. You are important, and you are enough, and you are a Jesus Christ champion, and I'm excited for you that's on this journey. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And God is so good. So I love you guys. I'm not going to ramble on because I got to get my babies cleaned up and in bed now. It is late. They're an hour past their bedtime now. So I love you guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 107. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.